Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday, April 25th, 2018, and this is Morning Light. Thanks so much for joining me. I hope you all are getting up and at it and you're busy off to your day today. It's halfway to the weekend, so hang in there. Sun is coming. I hear it's going to be a great weekend, and next week may even hit 80. So I am so excited that spring is coming. I hear those birds out there. Well, today we're going to continue in our series this week about being able to win, being a winner, living to win. Monday we talked about being born to win. We live to win. It was yesterday. And today is preparing to win. Hey, Beth and Amy, I'm glad you guys have joined me. Hey, Brooke, I'm glad you're up. It's great to see you guys today. We're just going to talk real briefly about how it is that we can be prepared to win. And so many of us forget that little tiny part of our life is, are we prepared to be a winner? Hey, Judy. So today I just want to talk to you about some of the things you've already gone through, the things you're going through that you may feel may be your setback. I want to encourage you that those are the very things that are going to get you to victory. So many times the enemy will use things to break you down, bring despair into your life, and what he plans for harm, we find out in Joseph's story, is what God intended for good, and the same is true for you. So I just want to encourage you today that those very things that the evil forces are bringing against you is also the way that can pave your way to victory. Because here's the thing, if you've been an athlete, or even if you're not an athlete, how many times have you learned or from your experience what it took to win? One, very rarely do we ever learn to win without having failure. And two, we have to learn techniques, we have to learn exercise, we have to learn the things that it takes to be a winner and what it takes to get us to victory. Well, if we never fail, if we never have anything ever come against us, then how do we know what it looks like to be a truly victorious winner? Because those are the people that have come from behind and gone forward and have been made victorious despite all odds. I love the story of eagles, and if you've done any studying on them, they are a fascinating animal that God has created. And here's the great thing about eagles. They're very strong and they're very powerful. But what they often do will sit on the cliff's edge and watch for a storm. When a storm is brewing, they will wait until the storm gets to them. And they'll wait until they feel the burst of the storm, and then they will dive headlong into that storm, dark clouds and all, and will allow those clouds to lift them up and take them higher than they could ever have gone before. So the question to you today is, are there storm clouds brewing? And if they are, would you be willing to be like the eagle that sits on the edge of the cliff and waits for that to be what lifts you up? Don't cower back. Don't hide inside and say, oh my goodness, another storm is coming. Would you be willing to be like that eagle that God created us to be even greater than, and say, you know what? Bring it on, Satan. Whatever you're bringing, whatever storm is coming, I'm waiting, because I'm going to dive headlong into that storm, and it is going to carry me up to a greater victory. My ministry has come out of great tragedy and sorrow in my own personal life. And if I wouldn't have experienced it, I wouldn't have these things to say and talk about and know them as truth. A lot of people ask, where do you get your stories from? I've never heard people explain it this way. Well, unfortunately, I've had to go through a lot of junk. I've been through a ton of storms to get that way. And if that's what God prepared in my life for me to become victorious and a winner and to teach everybody else to do that, then so be it. So a day and age where I used to hate the storms, I don't ever welcome them. I don't go looking for them. I'm not saying that. But there comes a time in your life that you have to either succumb to the storm, or you say, I don't have to be torn down. I don't have to be defeated. I'm going to use what is in this storm to catapult me into victory. And that's exactly what the eagle does. He waits on the edge of the cliff. I love that picture that he's waiting for it and he's not afraid of it. And then he goes into it and then rises to the top because of it. So what storm are you going through? Are you prepared for your victory? He has prepared himself through the storm clouds. He dives in. Do you know how he prepares? He has got to be flapping those wings hard to get into those winds. Are you doing what you need to do to even get victory? If you're standing on the sidelines hoping to make a win, I'm sorry, but victory is probably not going to be yours. Those who win are the ones that do the work, the ones that go out and against all odds, the ones who are broken and bruised and push through and say, you know what, no matter what, I'm going to be the winner in this. And so we have to take that as encouragement from the Lord, just even from an animal standpoint, that he has created them to soar high. He's created us to even soar higher no matter what. There's so many great pictures and stories in the Bible that talk about how so many people have come back from defeat. Think about Jesus alone, just his life, crucifixion, Good Friday. Think of that. I mean, beaten beyond anything any of us will ever know, then crucified, laid to rest in a cave, they say. You know, everything looked awful to him, awful. But yet he used that very ugly storm, that very terrible part of his life to give us life, to bring God's will into happening. And so I always say there's always got to be a Friday before there's ever a Sunday. So if you are wanting to be victorious, don't be afraid of what's ahead of you. Use that as the winds that will drive you higher. Get in the Word, find out what God has for you. Talk to him. There's a great verse I wanted to share today with you in Matthew 10. It's verse 27, and it says, "What I tell you in the dark, speak in the daylight, and what is whispered in your ear, proclaim from the roof." How can that be when God talks to you quietly that we're supposed to go out and share it from the rooftops? Well, how is it that we hear much, and I don't think we do, when everything's noisy and things are often going our way, we don't seek God. It is in those dark and quiet times that we hear from the Lord. One, because we have settled ourselves, we've stopped everything around us, we've also just quieted our spirit. Maybe that be by choice, maybe that be by you're flat on your back, maybe that is God just saying, you know what, I'm going to put you in a cave. I'm going to settle you down. I'm going to put you on your bed. I'm going to put you on the floor to quiet you down because I need to tell you some things to teach you what I have for you. I'm going to prepare you to win. So he's saying, what I tell you and what you hear in the dark, in those dark times, I want you to go out and tell in the daylight. That's what I'm doing today. All those things that God told me in the darkest times of my life, in the pit of hell that I felt like I was in, God is saying, you know what I taught you there, I want you now to go tell in the daylight. And that's exactly what Morning Light is all about, is to teach people, give them encouragement and hope. So would you be willing to just go away with God, even if it's the darkest part of your life? Would you be prepared to win? Would you sit on that cliff's edge like the eagle and watch that storm cloud come in? Not be fearful, but know that that's the very thing that will take you to a higher level. That will be the training that God will use to take you to victory. So I want to encourage someone today who's feeling defeated, who feels like the storm clouds continue to roll in. Don't be afraid of them. Don't let the enemy put you into this pit of despair or depression, because those are the very things that pave your way right into victory. Use those storm clouds. Dive in head first. Say, God, I'm going for broke here. You said you will never leave me. You will never forsake me. You will always be with me. I'm going to take you at your word, and I'm going to hang on to these truths even as the storm clouds blow around me, but I want to be prepared to win. I was thinking last night as I was just going to sleep about last week and the week before, we talked about holding your position and standing and hanging on, and I spent a lot of time in the jail this week and last week with some of my students, and those guards are always watching and always waiting, and I thought, that is exactly what we're supposed to be doing. It seems like they're doing nothing, but they're not. They're always doing something, whether that's internally, just keeping watch. And so we are to be guarded as well like that. We're to be like those guards. We're holding our position, waiting for the Lord, even in the midst of the storm. Those jail cells are tumultuous. That's not a lot of good stuff going on in there. There are a lot of storm clouds. Those guards are always on guard, ready for whatever's to come. We're to be the same way. So don't be afraid, friends. God has got you. He holds you up with his righteous right hand on that cliff. So hang on when the storm clouds come. jump into it, because that's what's going to raise you up higher. So I just want to encourage somebody today who needed to know that you can be prepared to win. Victory is around the corner for all of us. And remember, in the end, we all do win when we are followers of Jesus Christ. So hang in there, because victory is ours. I hope you all have a great Wednesday. We'll see you bright and early back here tomorrow morning on Morning Light. Bye-bye.